tune out the political theater. You can control the things that you can control, and don't let the media steal your joy by telling you how bad things are. It's not as bad as they tell us it is. It never is.
It's time for the My Retirement Clarity Podcast with Lee Perkins, financial planner and president of J.L. Perkins Wealth Management. Get ready for a good dose of inspiration, simplicity, implementation, and of course, clarity on how to successfully prepare for retirement and grow and preserve your wealth. Here's Ben George with Lee Perkins.
Welcome back to the My Retirement Clarity Podcast. We really do appreciate you tuning in. So this show continues to grow all over the country every month. And it seems like every week somebody from a different state reaches out to us. And so we're really very, very grateful for those of you who continue to share the show, either by posting it to your social media platform or just by telling people directly. We really do appreciate it. So my goal for this podcast has always been to educate and inform, but hopefully with the end goal of driving people to action. And so I heard somebody say something over the weekend, and I was listening to a podcast when I heard this. So I'm going to steal this idea because I really think it's great. And it goes to the point of taking action. So here's what they said. They said, it's all about closing the gap between what I know and what I implement. And I thought that was great. And it really speaks to me because I'm a consumer of content. And I know a lot of you are too, but I'm a consumer of content. And so as you would expect, I'm a podcast junkie, and my favorite podcasts are about the financial planning business and really how I can learn to serve my clients better. And so I try to learn as much as I can from other people, other advisors like me that I think are doing a really great job with their clients. And so I listen to a ton of that content. And there are times when I listen to something, I hear something, I think, wow, that's great. I need to make note of that. I need to put it on my calendar and make that happen. But you know what happens a lot of times? I get distracted. I consume more information, and whatever that great idea was sort of gets left behind. So as we go through the podcast today, and as you go back and maybe listen to past episodes, I'd encourage you to see if there's anything that you can implement for you today, something that will maybe move the needle in your situation. And so that's kind of a pro tip as we get started here today. So over the last couple of weeks, the water cooler talk really all over the country has been about the debt ceiling. And I actually shared my thoughts on this in an email to my email database maybe 2 weeks ago or so. You know, the media really jumped on this very, very quickly. And the media knows how to get viewers. They use red graphics and big scary numbers, pending gloom and doom, and really every media outlet, internet, radio, TV, and even podcast folks jumped onto the topic of the debt ceiling. And so the main question everybody was pondering was, what's going to happen? Are they going to raise the debt ceiling or not? And if they don't, what's going to happen? And I said this 2 weeks ago, really before the vote passed this past week. It was nothing more than normal political theater. So why do I call it theater? Well, that's because that's exactly what this whole thing is. It's political jockeying back and forth, each side with their own agenda. And so if you turn on the TV to any news show, whether it was Fox or MSNBC or CBS, Newsmax, whoever, and I don't care which way the show leans politically, they all fueled the flames. Why? Well, to me, it's pretty simple. It's viewership. It was actually the news of the day. So if we talk about it nonstop, like it's a life or death matter, people are going to tune in. And that's exactly what people did. All of these shows certainly lined up politicians on both sides to tell you why their side is right and why the other side is wrong concerning the debt ceiling. So the vote to raise the debt ceiling happened last week, and of course they raised it. And in my opinion, there was never any doubt that they were going to do this. And that's simply because politicians do one thing very, very well, and I think they do it at a world-class level, and that's spend other people's money. So certainly they were going to raise the debt ceiling. They're not really bashful about it either. When they spend money, the numbers are so large, I don't think it even resonates with a lot of these politicians. They throw around hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars the same way that we might spend a quarter or 50 cents. We don't really give it a thought, and I don't think they do either. But so here's some perspective straight from the Google machine, and this is actually from treasury.gov, and I'll read this. It says, Congress has always acted when called upon to raise the debt limit. And since 1960, and this is what a lot of people don't know, since 1960, Congress has acted 78 separate times to permanently raise, temporarily extend, or revise the definition of the debt limit. 49 times under Republican presidents and 29 times under Democratic presidents. Congressional leaders in both parties have recognized that this is necessary. All right, so that's the end of the quote from treasury.gov. So it's normal. It's happened a ton of times, but the media sort of portrayed it as if this was something that's never happened before, and if we don't get it fixed, the whole world is going to end and the country's going down the toilet. Certainly not the case. So here's how this played out, and it's exactly how I predicted it would play out because it's happened time and time again. As I said, they all spend way too much money, and they all know it. And of course, they blamed the other political party for all of the debt that we've incurred. It wasn't their fault. They're trying to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. They always pull out some abstract number about how they've reduced the deficit. Both sides have done it. It's not just that the Democrats have done it this time. They've both done it, and it's total nonsense. But, of course, at some point, magically, they reached a compromise, raised the debt ceiling, and we're certainly very lucky to have them all. So the politicians swooped in, saved the day, and came to our rescue. Hey folks, Lee Perkins here. If you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know how much I hate taxes, and I know you probably do too. Our politicians are completely out of control. Their spending is off the chart, and you've got to be prepared for increasing taxes in the future. So we've written a book called Diffuse, 7 Steps to Protecting Your 401k or IRA from the Ticking Tax Time Bomb. You're going to want to grab a copy of this book and learn how you can protect yourself. Then you'll have to decide if you want to take action right now or if you'd rather wait until the IRS changes the rules of the game. Either way, the choice is yours. To get a free copy of the book, just text the word diffuse to 478-475-2050. That's DEFUSE to 478-475-2050. And we'll send you a free copy. Thanks again for listening. Now back to the show. So in the next few weeks, things are going to become even more predictable. So here's what's going to happen. Each side is going to continue to take credit for getting the deal done. It's already happened, and they're certainly prancing their parade of people out on the news shows to sort of tout their success and say it would have been better had it not been for the yahoos on the other side of the political aisle. They're also going to all promise to get spending under control if you vote for them. All right. It's political theater 101. It happens almost every week. It's nothing more than a show, and we are the audience. All right. So what's the next show they want us to tune in for? I don't really know for sure, but I know they're going to latch onto something, and the media is going to grab onto it, and they're going to run with it. And then copycat media outlets are going to run with the same story, and all of a sudden we're going to be in the midst of another crisis. It's almost like what I saw happen over Memorial Day weekend. We were actually at the beach at St. Simon's, and you couldn't turn on a TV without somebody doing some type of report on shark attacks. Do we really have a huge surge of shark attacks this year that's way outside of the norm? No, we don't. But what we do have is a time of year where a bunch of people go to the beach, and when people go to the beach, there's always a few folks that get bitten by a shark. It's pretty normal. It just happens, especially down, in New Smyrna Beach. They call that the shark capital of the world. So news reporters will flock there to do the on the scene reports of where somebody may have gotten bit by a shark. But those reporters on the beaches make us believe that there are man-eating great white sharks out there just in knee-deep water waiting for you to go out there so they can eat you. And it's just a fear tactic. That's all it is. All right, so let's get back to the real world. Let's talk a little bit about your accounts and the tragedy or the crisis of the day. So people get scared and they wonder if this is the best time to get in or out of the market based on whatever the news is. All right. Some people are going to actually put off investing and time is going to pass because they're waiting on the perfect time to do something. And they're delaying this because they do one thing. They watch the news and they listen to the news. So when you're thinking about the whole political theater, you know what the next big show that's going to be played in the political theater? You guessed it, presidential election. It's coming up next year. And it's already starting. Republicans are already going at it pretty heavy. 3 years ago, I could actually imagine Trump and DeSantis sitting down and having a dinner or maybe playing around or golf together. But now all of a sudden, they're heated rivals. They're calling each other names. They're acting like Auburn and Alabama fans during game week. And I think they've really forgotten that they're supposed to be on the same side. And I think they are to some extent on major issues. But they pretty much both have the same goal, which is to control that side, to control the Republican Party. So now they've got to play the game and trash the other person. Democrats to this point hadn't really started doing that yet, but give them time. They'll be on par with the Republicans, and they'll start the mudslinging as well with the number one goal of getting elected. All right, so this is certainly not a period of time that I'm looking forward to, but it's not going to be long before all the political ads start dominating our airwaves, not only on TV, but on radio and even YouTube videos. You can't watch a YouTube video, or you couldn't during the last election, without a political ad jumping in that you couldn't skip. So, they're all going to tell us this is how bad our country is simply because the other side, and how they're now on a mission to bring us back from the depths of whatever despair that they tell us is going on. We've seen this movie before, and it's definitely coming to a theater near you very, very soon. So my encouragement to you is to tune out the political theater. You can control the things that you can control, and don't let the media steal your joy by telling you how bad things are. It's not as bad as they tell us it is. It never is. I met with a client 2 weeks ago who is what she calls a consumer of news. She watches it all the time, and she's really sort of a gloom and doomer. So she came in and asked if she was going to lose all her money because of the recession and the debt ceiling issues, and she asked if she should move all of her money to cash. And so I asked her, I said, do you really have any idea how your accounts have performed last year and this year? And she said no, because she was simply too scared to look at it. So to her surprise, year to date, she's up about 4.5%. Nothing great, but certainly not terrible. And last year, she was only down about 8%. She was really pretty shocked. And so what happened is she really worried herself to death about something that didn't need to bother her. So what about you? Is the news of the day or what might happen tomorrow worrying you to the point that you're questioning your strategy? If so, you may be fine, but you might just need a checkup. So if that's you, I'd encourage you to call and set up a 15-minute phone call, or set up a 15-minute phone call by going to www.talkwithlee.com. This will take you right to my calendar, and you can grab a spot, 15 minutes phone call where we can talk through things. I'll let you know if I think your strategy is a good one, or if what's going on in this crazy world will actually have a negative impact on your situation. So hopefully, if you're not sure what's going on, that'll be a great place for you to start. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show today. I really appreciate it, and we will catch you next time. Take care. Lee Perkins here, and I want to thank you so much for tuning into the show today. If you like our podcast, we would be honored if you would share the show with others. And one great way to do that is by posting the show to your social media pages or by just telling others about it. Either way, we would really appreciate it. And of course, if you do enjoy the show, we would appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star review, and this certainly helps other people like you find our show. And if you want to learn a little more about our firm and how we help people have the best retirement they can possibly have, go check us out at www.myretirementclarity.com. There are a lot of great resources that you can access directly on the website. And of course, if you want to have a conversation with me, you can visit www.talkwithlee.com, and this will take you directly to my calendar. And there you can schedule a 15-minute phone call so I can learn a little bit more about your situation. Of course, everybody is not a great fit for our firm, but if I think we can add value and put you in a better situation, I'll let you know, and we can certainly talk about the next steps. So thanks again for tuning into the show, and we'll catch you next time.
Investment advisory services are offered by J.L. Perkins Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor and insurance agency. Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified tax, legal, or investment professional before taking any action.